Cultivating a Fuji by Miriam Drury. Chapter 17. Singing for Summer. Held up by the dense smoke-filled atmosphere, Martin staggered towards the microphone. Hardly surprising he couldn't walk straight after all the alcohol they'd plied him with this evening. Earlier on in the evening, though for the life of him he couldn't work out whether that was hours ago or only a few minutes, that chap who talked funny English, Tutsu what's-it or something, had told him the drink was called sake. Then he'd said, "It is wine made from lice." Martin almost spat it out. Or maybe he did spit it out. He couldn't remember. Anyway, he remembered at the last moment that R's were L's and L's R's in this funny topsy-turvy place, and carried on drinking. He liked the taste, and they kept giving him more. He shouldn't have agreed to the last 2 or 3 little cups. At least, they look small, but appearances could be Anyway, the Japanese were very insistent, and he kept on drinking. Now, even through the stuporific haze that surrounded him, nice word that, stuporific, must remember it when I'm sober, Martin knew that his good fortune had, of this moment, come to a most definite end. Up to now, he'd done incredibly well on this trip. Despite his apprehension on being told they were sending him to Japan, despite the fact that he'd never flown before, never gone to another country on his own, never been on any sort of business trip, never given a presentation, this trip had gone surprisingly well. Today had been amazing. At lunch, Tsutsuyama had told him that they decided to buy the system. It had really happened, hadn't it? He didn't think he dreamt it. Then, before some sort of office celebration in which Martin was to be the guest of honour, Tsutsuma had taken Martin out for a tour of the town, a temple, a museum, and the market. He distinctly remembered, at least he thought he did, stopping to admire some gigantic red apples. Tsutsukama had told him they were called Fuji apples. Like the mountain, Martin had said. But named not from mountain, Tutsu had replied. From town where apple first glow, Fuji sake. Tutsu had bought him one to taste. So sweet, so delicious. Just like this country and its people. When Martin had given his presentations, in a room so thick with cigarette smoke that even breathing was a struggle, let alone talking, the men had listened to his explanations as if their lives depended on it. Well, not their lives, but probably their jobs did. After each sentence, Martin had been glad of the chance to relax and close his smarting eyes, while Tutsu, what was his name, translated his words. Some of the translations seemed much longer than his original sentences. Some of them involved prolonged exchanges between the men. Martin waited patiently until they all turned back to him for his next sentence. Apart from Tutsu, the only one who spoke to him in English was the secretary, Kimura-san, who he saw on both days dressed in a tight skirt that reached below the knee and a white blouse with a pink ribbon. She had welcomed him with an embarrassed smile and given a sort of giggle when she spoke English. It was her discomfort that had encouraged Martin to question her. He recognised a kindred characteristic. Why are there no women in the company? Woman must to stay home, raise family, look after house. Even now, in 1977? Yes. Why do you work? I'm not yet married. Kimura-san had given her a shy giggle. In fact, all these Japanese people seem quite shy and reserved, rather like Martin. They seem to need all their traditions, the bowing, the smiling, things they said, to overcome their shyness. He warmed to them and felt calm with them. Well, as calm as he could be. It was also something to do with them being strangers and foreigners. They hadn't caught on yet that he was weird and different, and should be treated as such. They seemed to think he was important, a respected expert. He'd begun to feel quite good about himself. He hadn't felt like this for goodness knew how many years. Probably not since he started school, age 5. But now his luck was running dry. Out. It turned out they expected him to do this thing they called karaoke. He, Martin, was supposed to sing in public to a hall full of workers from the company. He'd tried to get out of it, but they made it clear that it wasn't an option. Choose a song, they'd said, and for no reason at all, the one that came to mind was Gershwin's Summertime. The music began. Martin tried to look down at his feet, but then he couldn't resist looking up, glancing up, and he realised, because of the lighting and the smoke of 1,000 cigarettes, he couldn't really see anything but shadows. He knew there were a lot of people there, but not being able to see them properly made it feel as if he was alone. Martin opened his mouth, took a deep breath, and it was the strangest thing. As soon as he began to sing, his nerves left him completely. He'd never felt calm like this in the presence of other people. Summertime, and the living is easy. His voice sounded loud and forceful, exactly as it did when he sang on his own in his little flat to an audience of 0. When he finished, loud clapping filled the hall, and Martin beamed, unsure whether this was dream or reality. When he sat down, his colleagues patted him on the back. And Tetsuya, that's it, Tetsuya, said, "Very good." What was it about this country that turned everything around and made him feel so normal?